camera and mic are still recording. Let's cut. That should be the first video, and then maybe I can make a second video. Let's make one for YouTube. Hi guys, M13 here. This is my YouTube. This will be a life update. Not much. Yeah, I guess there's some things going on. JD is now in junior high. He's in a school that's like a minute away from me. He's doing very well for the first time in his life. He's doing well in school. When he lived with his mother, he always did poorly from grade 1 all the way up to grade 7, and now he's in grade 7 again because he took some time off due to the divorce and child in the custody and whatnot. So he's restarting grade 7, and he's doing great. He told me a few cute stories. First story was on his first day at the school, he had a lineup of girls from other classrooms coming into his classroom just to say hi to him and then leaving. Like, word spread that there was a foreigner student in the school, so I'm assuming he's the only one in the school, and everybody was curious and wanted to see, especially the girls, because they heard it was a foreigner boy. So he had a lineup of girls from other grades and other classrooms coming into the class just to say hi and then walk away. He's got a few girls that have crushes on him. They follow him around the school. They wait for him when classes are over. They stand there and they wait for him. That's cute. Oh, you want to hear something horrible? Let's kill the positive vibe of this video right near the start. He said that most of the cute girls in his grade 7, are dating girls, dating boys 3, 4, 5 years older than them. Girls in his grade are 12 years old. If they're dating a boy 4 or 5 years older than them, that's 16 or 17 years old. A 16-year-old boy, from my experience, is a sexually active young man. 12-year-old girls, from my experience, are children. So that is disgusting. There's a big age difference between me and my wife, but the difference is we're both adults. Yeah. And I'm thinking, like, what's the cutoff? They say your brain you don't really have your adult brain until you're 30. Like, your brain is like your opinion, your likes, your dislikes, your hobbies, etc. They're always kind of changing until you're about 30. And then if you look at a person when they're 30 and when they're 40, they're still going to be mostly the same person. But if you look at a person when they're like 25 and 30, very different people. So yeah, but with that in mind, it's messed up. I knew it was like that when I first moved here, like 20 years ago. I remember I taught a high school class, like when I first moved here, and there was a girl in the class. She would have been 15 years old, 16-ish. And we were talking about cars at one point, and then for some reason we were talking about Mercedes, and then the girl put up her hand and she goes, "Oh yeah, my boyfriend drives a Mercedes." And I'm like, "Okay, you're 16, your boyfriend drives a Mercedes? What is he, like Elon Musk's son?" And then I'm like, "Well, how old is your boyfriend?" And she's like, 30. I'm like, "Okay, you're 16 and your boyfriend is 30?" Meanwhile, I'm teaching the class, and I'm half the age of her boyfriend, or much younger than her boyfriend. I moved here when I was like 21, 22. So yeah, I'm like, what the heck? That's messed up, and it's disgusting. But the weird thing was, no one batted an eye. Like, I remember at the time, I looked at my co-teacher, who was like a Taiwanese adult, and I expected to see disgust on her face, but there was nothing. There was no shock, nothing. And looking back on it, I actually had students when I first moved here that were hitting on me pretty aggressively. And I even had one student who was young, and I was like, low 20s, and she was a kid. But her mom seemed cool with it, because it was like a one-on-one student, and her mom would always suggest like romantic getaways for the two of us. Like, oh yeah, put my, 15-year-old daughter on your motorcycle and take her up to the mountains. Take her to this waterfall. It's really nice up there, and you guys should go there for your English class. Since it's boring in the classroom. You guys are 101. Take her here. Take her there. And then she was very obviously, very aggressively flirting with me, trying to make moves on me, and I was just brushed. She tried to hold my hand. I would take my hand away. On one of our last classes, she tried to kiss me, and I just no. I just pushed her away. And then it was around that time that I learned that I was an abnormal male, because every single guy that I talked to this about said to me that they would have done it. And I'm like, she's a kid. I'm an adult. I was barely an adult. I was 20 something. But nonetheless. Okay, I'm going to pull into this parking lot. No, I changed my mind. I'm not going to pull into this parking lot. I'm going to leave. Totally didn't run a red light. Yeah, well, the parking lot is connected to the both roads. So if you have a red light, you can legally pull into the parking lot, and then in theory you can legally exit the parking lot. But I suppose technically, without stopping, it might be running a red. Yeah. So, okay. What else? Life updates. JD, he's doing well in school. Oh, he had another story. He was hanging out with one of the guys. And he said to me he thought it was cool because it was like the most popular guy in his class, and he was hanging out with that guy. And he said to the guy something to that effect, like, yeah, you're like the most popular kid in our class, something. And the kid responded back, he goes, wait. He goes, I thought you were. So, yeah. That's a nice compliment. He's hanging around with the coolest, most popular kid in the class, and that kid thought that he was the coolest, most popular kid in the class, so... he doesn't have a problem with bullies this year. That's the first year it's not been a problem. There is a tattletale in the class who happens to be one of the biggest boys, so that kind of sucks. Whenever he sees anyone doing anything, he tells the teacher. Not really a tattletale, not really a bully, but kind of. As soon as he told me he had a tattletale in the class, and I'm like, well, why don't you and the other kids get together and beat the crap out of him? And he's like, well, he's the biggest boy in the class. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. That's the kind of parental advice you get from M13. You got a tattletale in the class? Well, deal with it after school. Because that's how we dealt with tattletales when I was a kid, Okay. What else? I guess the other big difference is, thanks to COVID and not doing tours in a long time, my budget is strained really thin. That's an intelligent way of saying I'm poor. So I've been taking on a lot of extra teaching hours, and right now I've got a lot. So I'm working almost double what a full-time teacher would work. So I'm pretty much working 2 full-time jobs. And if in your head that equals 80 hours, then you're American and you're not a teacher, because a full-time teaching is about 25 hours a week. So I'm working about over 40 hours a week, and that would be 2 full-time teaching jobs, because teaching isn't a regular 9-to-5 job. Yeah, okay, that's it. JD's doing very well. I'm doing okay. I'm working very hard. Yeah, that's the video. Oh, this is cool. This is what an Asian caveman looks like.
How do you know he's Asian?
No reason. I just guessed because we're in Taiwan.